Hi, everyone. Me, Carla, fresh back from Oswego University. Took my daughter on a college visit today. Excuse me. So it's night time out, and I'm just getting around to do this. So better late than never, right? I was actually going to wait and do it tomorrow because tomorrow I'll be in Charleston, and I thought I could say, "Hey, look, I'm in Charleston." But then I thought, you probably just really didn't care. So anyhow, grading's all done for week 4. A number of you used a number of your free passes, so that makes sense because I think this was a very heavy week. 1, 2, 3, 4 discussion boards and 2 Dropbox, so 4, 6, so 7 activities this week, which I think that is the high. So next week I think it drops down to 5. I think so, and then it just slowly tapers off. So anyhow, just a few thoughts. Discussion question 12 was regarding authentic leadership. Many of you talked about how you enjoyed that chapter, learning more about that style of leadership. I don't know, again, that many people follow this styles independently, but I think we can all probably agree that being authentic is important. It is difficult for me, and I assume others, to follow someone that you don't trust. And I think trust a lot of times is based on someone being authentic or real, or following up on what they say they'll do, and kind of walking the walk. Walking the talk, I guess, is how they say it. So anyhow, I think authenticity is important. So I did want to mention a statement that Tori made in her discussion question. I think I commented on as a couple of my individual comments to you, but I just wanted to reiterate it again. And I'm assuming, Tori, you must have been a social work student at one point in time. So anyhow, I am fascinated by some of that work, and in my dissertation research did quite a bit of work in the therapy and psychology area. I just find it fascinating. If I had to do it all over again, I probably would end up in psychology, but who knows? So I'm not doing it over again. So anyhow, so Tori wrote within discussion question 12, she wrote, one thing I've learned in my undergraduate social work program is that you have to have an understanding of self and to find peace with life, so your problems don't interfere with how you can help others come to terms with their problems. So I think that really kind of encapsulates the importance of knowing yourself, is to be able to understand your approach, how other people perceive you. So Johari's window type helps with that. Many of these leadership styles have reinforced it. The ability to objectively and subjectively reflect on performance, as we did in the values detective exercise. I think all of that helps us kind of manage our own stuff. So in my opinion, unless you can demonstrate that you can manage yourself and achieve, various milestones in life, I don't think you have any business of managing other people. So, and the people that I've struggled with the most in following are those that it fundamentally comes down to a trust in them. I just don't think they've got it. So anyhow, authenticity or being authentic is important. Servant leadership was, again, fascinating. Years ago, it was really the big thing. So I remember there was quite a number of books out about it. And, in theory, it makes sense. As someone who's been in leadership roles for a number of years, my needs tend to come last. I put the needs of my faculty and students above mine to a degree. I also have come to learn that I have to take care of myself. If I don't take care of me, then there's not much of me to give or to help other people. So again, as with everything in life, there's a balance between giving and receiving. So you've got to find that balance. So a number of you made a comment that you've not really found a lot of servant leaders, but that most of those that you're observing are actually competing with their followers or feel threatened by them. I agree, and I think it's sad. Sad is in that's, in my opinion, not what leaders should do. So it's not a competition. In my opinion, and the people that I've worked with, or at least what I hope has happened, is that I think James mentions this a couple of times, that you can really sense the value of a leader by looking at, are they developing other leaders? And to some degree, I support that and believe that. Some people just don't want to be leaders, and I think that's fine, but are they growing and developing? So it's important to me that others achieve. And if somebody under my leadership achieves something, if they, whatever in their professional career, I feel that reflects on me. So, sorry, my dog, for some reason, decided to completely freak out. So you can always trust, as soon as you get on a phone call or try to record something, the dog wants to freak. So discussion question 14 was on adaptive leadership. I found this one particularly interesting as I read through the book. And I really appreciate several examples that were posted this week, because they really brought to life the importance of the ability to work with adaptive leadership. Critical stuff. So I think I shared a rather lengthy response to James Coons, and I probably should have copied you on all of this, but the Institute for Health Improvement, IHI, put out a white paper on the psychology of change. You can download it free if you go to their website. And I read that maybe a month or so ago. And very interesting, very, very interesting. So you might want to, or maybe I talked about that in week 3 summary. I can't remember. Sorry, bit spacey here. Anyhow, you might want to look at that paper. It's quite interesting. I think I responded to a post that he made. I don't think I mentioned it in week 3. So anyhow, very good paper, kind of lengthy, but some really good stuff. And they break change into 2 parts, with the technical and the adaptive. It basically talks about how adaptive is much more difficult than the technical in most cases, because it requires a real behavioral change in people. And they walk through quite a bit. So if you're bored and you want some additional reading, download it. I didn't read the whole thing, probably the first 6 or 8 pages. And I think it's enough. You can get enough of a scoop of it, but it's quite interesting. So interesting enough, I found this fascinating. No one did discussion question 15, which was candid feedback. So that's actually kind of an easy exercise, and the video is, in my opinion, hysterical. So it's a based on a book. Sherry Sherry Harvey, I think, is the author. It's a simple read. I was working with a health coach about 3 or so years ago, and she had me read that book, and it's fairly simple concept, but very interesting. So, and I think very applicable and very practical. So, when you get a chance, it's a quick video, it's not very long, and she will make you laugh, I promise. So, and if you've ever managed people, you will relate to some of her examples. They're quite humorous. Anyhow. So Dropbox 4 was the values detective exercise. A lot of you commented on how you enjoyed that. I hope that's the case. Sometime in your career, if you get the option or opportunity to participate in a 360 eval, I would encourage you to do it. I think you have to be in kind of a good place to do it. Sometimes the results can be a bit brutal. I did one last summer, and I sent it out to a bunch of students, a bunch of faculty that teach in this program, several advisory board members. So you're looking at different levels of stakeholders to you. My boss did it, so the dean of the college, and then I had people that would be considered lateral to me, so other directors, and then I had Joyce, the program assistant for this program. So I think in total, it was like 15 people were invited to participate in it, and then you get this big honking report that gives you their ratings and comments. And then I met with kind of like a career coach, and we walked through the results. So it takes a while to kind of process it and figure out, like, what does it mean? But it does offer some very clear insight into how other people perceive you, the good and the bad. And then some areas for development. So it's very helpful in the Johari window concept in opening, especially the blind spots, things that you just don't know about yourself. And sometimes those blind spots are good. So years and years ago, I did this, and I was really quite surprised that other people, their perception of me was in this. I'll just tell you, I was highly rated in my valuing of diversity, and it's not that I thought I was horrible at it. I just never really thought that it came across. I just like, wow, I just had no idea. So that also sits and you just kind of sit and say, I wonder like how that happened, or I wonder what I'm doing that leads to that. Sorry, my nose is itching, but anyhow, so values detective is important. And I think on occasion it's healthy to engage in these types of activities where you really reconnect with, what's important to me, what's my values. And I know I'm on my soapbox again, but I'll tell you, and most of you are pretty young. Once you get into this whole family gig and get deeper into your careers, you get so engulfed in all of it that if you don't stay connected to what is really important to you, you can literally wake up 15 to 20 years later and just say, holy cow, what happened? So, and it'll kind of lose your way and not even know it. And then usually what happens, a very good friend of ours worked for a company for 30 years and one day was let go. If he wouldn't have had a strong understanding of what mattered to him, what his purpose was, what difference he wanted to make in the world, that event could have shaken him up big time. But he seems to be responding fairly well to it. And I think a lot of it is because of work that he's done to uncover his passion. So managing change and transition. I think I need to write the instructions on this and we're a little more clear. So I think Havit, so she was teaching me how to say her name, Havit. I think she did it right. So you were supposed to kind of go through with a change that you went through, look at it using Kotter's steps of change, 8 steps of change. And then also, then on the other side of the sheet, go through and look at it with the eyes of transition. So again, I've gone through many business classes, and we spend all this time talking about how do you manage change. And if you look at the model, you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. It all makes sense. But anytime you go through major life events, and you think about that, it makes it look a little too simplistic. Change is difficult. If change is that difficult, then why do these 8 steps look so easy? So years ago, when I was exposed to Bridges' theories on transition or transition theory, all of a sudden it just like a light bulb just went off. I mean, like the whole light bulb just exploded because I realized that when I'm going through change on a personal level, whether it's good change or bad change, professional or personal, crisis or a great thing, I'm going through this death and dying phase because I have to get used to what life was to what life will be, and that cycle takes time. And if you try to skip steps or if you try to ignore it, you can easily see why you or others get stuck and they are never ever able to transition, or their transition process could vary between people, where some people can process through it like in an hour and other people can get stuck for 10 years. So as future leaders and managers, or those of you who are already in those positions, you need to watch your people and yourself, and watch and making sure they're transitioning through or they are appropriately cycling through that transition. And then the 4 Ps that Bridges gives us helps us know how we can communicate that can actually facilitate that. So I'm telling you, that was a massive eureka moment. So just huge. So it really helps me understand how I need to communicate to help people. Anyhow, and then reflection 4. So for the most part, nice job. Several of you, I could sense you were hurrying through it. I appreciate that. There was only so much time in the week, and maybe the reflection paper suffered a bit. So unfortunately, probably your score did too. But I got to do what I got to do. So, what I would encourage you all, if you were asking, Carla, please give me one more thing to stretch me a little bit farther, it would be to really focus on that final question. Based on what you're learning, I mean, I'm just asking you to pick one thing that just kind of, maybe made a bigger impression on you than other stuff, and to think about, how can I use that? Can I try this transition theory with my child? Can I try it with a coworker? Just trying to help, like maybe sitting and helping them understand, but I'm trying to really encourage you to take one of these things and make a commitment to actually use it this next week. And I know none of you are running organizations yet, or maybe aren't even in leadership roles or management roles. But all of you are little L's, and you can use this material to help members of a team or a group. And my concern is that if you study it and you're like, oh yeah, that's interesting, boy, that's fascinating, and you don't actually use it, that before you know it, you're going to forget it. And then, then like this whole class and all the pain and suffering that you've gone through is going to be for a waste. So anyhow, so I encourage you to give it a shot. So, and I wrote that a few times, because I always like to try to stretch you. So anyhow, so you made it through week 4. So we are well over halfway, just 3 weeks left, and you're well into week 5. So I'm having a blast with the course and having a good time reading your stuff. I'm very impressed, and looking forward to week 5. So I will be out of town tomorrow and Thursday. I'll be in Charleston, South Carolina, for an accreditation meeting for the accreditor that we're working to take this program through. So I'll be there. But I'll still be watching my email and trying to respond. But I need to really work on the capstone class this next couple of days. So my attention might be diverted away from this particular course. So, but if you need anything, just scream. I check my email compulsively, so just let me know if I can do anything. So have an awesome week, and thank you for all your work. It's inspiring to work with a group that's working so hard. I truly enjoy. I just seriously have the best job ever. So anyhow, take care. Have a good week. Bye.